Let's check out the limited edition Steam Deck OLED. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Deck Ready. This is the channel where I talk about everything related to the Steam Deck and other gaming handhelds. This is a really exciting day for me. After the mental turmoil of getting a Steam Deck OLED, I'm sure you all went through it where I showed up right at 10 a.m. I had my Steam account logged in and everything. I was trying furiously to get the Steam Deck limited edition just because I use this device every day. I have a YouTube channel around it. This was a no-brainer purchase for me. That it wouldn't work, right? You had to put in your shipping address and then it would just never load. Valve tweeted out from the Steam Deck account, they were like, we're aware of the issues. Then it came back in stock and went out of stock. I tried to buy a 1 terabyte OLED. It gave me an error that said I was trying to make too many purchases, and usually that takes hours to get lifted. So I made a new Steam account. I went to buy a 1 terabyte that sold out allegedly. Then I bought a 512 edition. Then on Twitter, I see Bob Wolf say that he was able to get the limited one, and I was like, oh. So I go back on my regular Steam Deck account, I get the limited OLED one, I cancel the 512 OLED, and everything is good. And now, a few days later, I finally have my Steam Deck. And it turns out that this limited one wasn't all that limited. I have the box here. I already unboxed it because there's been a million unboxing videos. I know there's a bunch of controversy online about whether or not the 1 terabyte OLED's anti-glare glass kind of messes with the blacks of the OLED screen. And look, I'm not an expert by any means on this stuff, and I don't want to be. I don't want to know anything like this because I curse myself by becoming a fan of Digital Foundry. Now I see frame time and fluctuating frame rates totally different than I did before I found that channel. I don't want to curse myself with knowledge and have to upgrade all of my TVs. With the Steam Deck, I was never a hater of the LCD screen. The one thing that I didn't like was the bleed, but beyond that, I thought it was totally serviceable, right? And as someone who has OLED TVs, I still thought that. So I wasn't super oh, we need to upgrade the screen. We need to upgrade a bunch of other things on the Steam Deck. And even me, the person who didn't care, I love the new screen on the Steam Deck. Not only is it a great looking OLED panel, even with the anti-glare glass, you still get the black levels that bleed into the the bezels. You can't see the bezels, especially when you're playing in bed like I was while I was downloading all my games. It's also 90 hertz now, and it has this new sort of math trick in the quick access menu where when you drag the slider down, it you're dragging the frame rate, right? You're saying I want to play at 30 FPS, and it makes a judgment call on what hertz the screen should be. So in control, for example, I set everything to low, I set the textures at high, and then I dropped it down to 30 FPS. And what it does is say, okay, I'm keeping the screen at 90 hertz, but you're playing at 30 FPS. And that's just the magic I want. That's the difference between something like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, where on the Ally, you got to know your way across every aspect of Windows to get a good experience out of that thing. You've got to know some about PC gaming, and Valve at the beginning of the Steam Deck's life cycle, you had to know a little bit about PC gaming, but you could get by. Now they've done pretty much everything to make sure that you don't need to know a lot. You can get this thing, log into your Steam account, start downloading your games, and you will most likely be good to go. So yeah, with the new screen, they've also dramatically reduced input lag. I'm gonna be honest, this is another thing I never noticed. I noticed input lag when I play with frame generation on my PC. I found out you're not supposed to limit games to 60 if you're using frame generation. You're supposed to just let them go wild with their frame rate, and I didn't know that. So I was limiting Starfield and Alan Wake 2 to 60, and I was like, man, this input lag is terrible. I am noticing it. That is the level of input lag that I personally noticed. So on the old Steam Deck, I personally thought it was always fine. 30 FPS felt like 30 FPS, 40 felt like 40, 60 felt like 60. It's dramatically lessened on the OLED model now, but I guess because of that change where it measures the hertz independently from the frame rate automatically, it picks its own hertz that the screen needs to run at based on your frame rate, you do get a little bit improved input lag on the LCD model. It's just you get more of an improvement on the new model because it runs at 90 hertz. This video is sponsored by TomTalk and the Armor G12 Steam Deck case. If you're looking for a case to protect your deck, I think you're going to want to check out the Armor G12 case. It's hard to believe that something this light and sleek could really be so durable, but once you hold it in your hands, you can really feel how rigid it is and ready to go for pretty much any activity. It's crafted from German Bayer polycarbonate, which means it meets the standard for military grade drop tests. And if you're worried about your Steam Deck having direct contact with the case, it has a silicone liner that stops that from ever happening. And finally, it's got this really satisfying like lock clasp that snaps open and closed, and it has quick charging access. So you can leave your Steam Deck in the case while you're charging it, which is great because I tried to do that with the regular Steam Deck case and I ended up breaking my Steam Deck because I didn't realize that the zipper was open, and then I picked it up and it fell on the floor and the right bumper broke, and I will never heal from this traumatic event that happened over a year ago. So if you want to pick up your very own TomTalk Armor G12 case, the link is down in the description. Huge shout out once again to TomTalk for sponsoring this video. That covers it for the screen, but that is like not even close to the amount of awesome improvements. I mean, like, you got to start with the case, right? Like the case that comes with the new Steam Deck. They have made one major improvement that I feel like might be like based on my experience with the original Steam Deck. I'm not a narcissist. I know it's not. It's just like, this is funny to me because, so what happened last year with my Steam Deck is I left it charging in the case with the case open because it was downloading a bunch of games. My wife, she was my fiance then, anyway, it doesn't matter. She was vacuuming the living room and she closed the case. So when I have the case closed, I know it's zipped. It wasn't zipped. We were going to see Top Gun Maverick, but we had to wait before the movie. So I was like, oh, I'll bring my Steam Deck. I grabbed the handle like this, and then the Steam Deck fell out. So that sucked because the right bumper broke. They fixed that issue because now there's this Velcro that, like, when you have, even if it's not zipped, the Velcro like slaps down. So you're never gonna have that issue, hopefully, where you grab your deck case and then the Steam Deck like flies out across the room and your right bumper breaks, right? Also, I think this only comes with the version I got, the limited edition. Maybe it comes with the other 1 terabyte, but I got a little charging bag that has the little Steam Deck logo on it. I think that's great, but you've still got this little, like, you know, this little cavity in here for the charger, or you could put your Steam Deck dock in it because it also fits perfectly, but you definitely can't fit both. So you kind of got to pick one or the other, and I think you should bring the charger. The charger is also upgraded on this thing. It has the Steam Deck logo on it. It doesn't seem like this thing that they bought off of like a manufacturer that was already making chargers that would just work for this, and the cord is much longer. That is much appreciated. I really like that. Also, a big difference on the case, since it's the OLED, you've got the black Steam Deck logo, and since it's the limited version, you get see-through little zipper handles here, which, you know, that's kind of cool. Yeah, so here's my limited edition Steam Deck OLED. You can see the anti-glare screen that makes people really upset when you say that you like it, but I don't know, I don't really care. I like it. I'm putting that over there for a second because I'm still not done with the case. I'm not done talking about it. You've got all these cool like x-ray pictures of the Steam Deck, which, you know, is cool. But the sweet thing about this case is that it has a shell. So you just like, it Velcros out, and then you get this slim case. That's like another massive problem with the Steam Deck solved. So yeah, the case is massively improved. I really hope they start selling the case separately so people who have the original Steam Deck can get an upgrade there. You do have TomTalk, who makes a very similar case that is a little bit more durable than this proprietary Steam Deck one, but I know there's a lot of like psychos out there like me who are like, I want the Steam Deck logo on stuff. So yes, despite the fact that I can get an all aluminum dock that's cheaper than the official Steam Deck one, which is plastic, I'd rather pay more for the Steam Deck one just to get that little logo on there. I know there's a lot of you out there like me, so yeah, I hope Valve starts selling this case separately. I think people would pay up to like 40 or 50 bucks for it, and it's something they should definitely do. I mean, I don't know where to start with the actual Steam Deck itself because everything is improved. This one's a little different, obviously, because it's the limited one. My friend Fan the Deck, Richard, he messaged me. He's like, you have to get this one because at first it looked like it was red accents, but it's actually orange accents and it's transparent black. So Halloween colors. I was like, yes, I need to get this one. And the orange does not disappoint. It is very orange in person. You've got it on the thumbsticks, and the thumbsticks themselves are definitely improved. They're a little bit more like cavernous than the old ones, so your thumb like firmly rests in the middle. They don't have that grinding that you would feel around the ring so far after playing Control all night, which is awesome. They click in just a little bit better, and it honestly feels like they have a little bit smoother travel. Valve said they investigated using Hall effect joysticks, which I know is like a buzzword now. everyone loves those. They said the performance wasn't up to their standard, and I believe them because so far they haven't really lied about anything except for making another Steam Deck. And really they were just bending the truth. The D-pad is where I'm a little iffy just because I liked the mushiness where you could rock a little bit easier on the old D-pad, and this one you have to like push in the buttons pretty hard. Like you can kind of hear how clicky it is now, and I think it's just something I'm gonna have to get used to because I did notice a lot of other people were complaining about the old D-pad and they're happy about the new one. What I am happy they improved though is the bumpers on the Steam Deck. They're clickier. You can hear them clicking, and they feel more durable. Like I'm not going to throw this thing against the wall because I'm going to protect it with my life now that I know it's the special Halloween edition. But yeah, they definitely feel better, and the triggers feel exactly the same. I saw some people saying that the triggers feel different. I'm calling bull on that. You cannot tell me these triggers feel different. They just have different plastic over them. It's like thicker plastic. That's it. They still feel like exactly the same triggers, but they work the same. Of course, they made the power button orange on the OLED model, so just because this is the limited one doesn't mean I get the exclusive on the orange power button. If you buy any of the other OLEDs, you'll get an orange power button. The vents are orange on this one though, which I think is really cool. The charging light also changes colors based on where your power situation is at. I think that's cool, but I'm the kind of person who's like, if I'm playing the Steam Deck, it's generally plugged in, and if I'm charging it overnight while I download games, I'm not looking at it. So that was just like a nice quality of life change that even Valve may have gone a little too far on that one. I don't think they needed to do that, but I'm glad they did. The trackpad's also got a big accuracy improvement. I had to type in my password when I turned this thing on for the first time, and that 2-thumb keyboard was much more accurate. The touchscreen itself, I think, is also more accurate. Like you could actually type on it, which is great. And then my top level ultimate biggest gripe has been addressed. The Steam and quick access menu buttons, those have been turned into actual buttons. They're no longer little mushy, I don't even know, mushy little charms. They weren't even buttons before. Now they're nice and clicky. They still use the little decal for the logo on them, but they don't have that little like water slide sort of border that you would get on the original Steam Deck. So even the quality of the stickers on the buttons has been improved. Valve spared no expense, like John Hammond. Because of that new chip, right? That new 20% more efficient chip that they've put in this thing, the 6nm one, the operating system is a lot snappier and a lot smoother. That could also come down to the faster RAM they're using, but I did immediately notice that everything was a lot more fluid than it is on the original Steam Deck. And you're still gonna notice like hiccups and everything with SteamOS, like when you quit a game, it takes a little bit, and then it goes, oh, I'm awake now. You can move through the operating system just fine after that. But everything is just a lot smoother. Like scrolling through my all games library to download the ones that were on my SSD again, that was a lot quicker on this, and the OLED screen just makes SteamOS pop in a cool way. Now, I mentioned the one game I put a lot of time into on this thing is Control, and it runs exactly the same, which is good. You don't need to upgrade because your performance is going to be the same. It's kind of like the PS5 Slim, except whereas the PS5 Slim was only made to benefit Sony, everything that they've improved in the Steam Deck OLED was made to benefit us, but you're largely going to get the same experience on the original Steam Deck. It's just going to be more refined on the OLED, which makes it a thing where if you use your Steam Deck every single day, you should definitely pick one of these up, whether it's the cheapest one or the most expensive limited, which is still in stock at the time of making this video. You should grab one of these. If you're someone who uses your Steam Deck like once a month or less, don't buy the OLED. Wait for the Steam Deck 2 in 2 to 3 years, and I think you'll see a much bigger upgrade. But who am I kidding? Everyone watching this video probably bought the OLED because they play on the Steam Deck and they are fans of the Steam Deck, right? What I really hope comes out of the OLED model exploding and getting into people's hands is more developers putting more time into consistent frame rates out of their games on the Steam Deck. The biggest game this year, far and away, is Baldur's Gate 3. It's gotten a lot of patches since it came out. It's a lot smoother than it was when it launched, but it's still not a locked 30 FPS on the Steam Deck, and you really can't get that. So as good as FSR 2 looks with that game compared to FSR 1, all those graphical improvements really don't matter to me if the frame rate is dropping below 30. I feel like 30 is the perfect baseline for a device like this. I know people love 40, but like with the games that are coming out now, it's just not going to happen without massively dropping the graphics to a point where if you're someone like me who has a PS5, who has a stronger gaming PC, it's not really worth making that sacrifice just to play on a handheld. With more people out there owning the Steam Deck OLED and the original Steam Deck, I think developers really are going to start paying attention earlier in the dev cycle of these games. Like a lot of the games coming out this year are holdovers that took longer because of the lockdowns and everything like that and people working from home. Now we're getting an explosion of games that all started development during probably 2019 or 2020. That's going to be, you know, not as common after 2023, and we're going to have to wait a little bit for more next gen games. So hopefully now the Steam Deck gets recognized earlier in the development process of these games instead of like at the very tail end, which is what seems like happened with stuff like Baldur's Gate 3. So yeah, this video was less me telling you whether or not the Steam Deck is a worthy upgrade for you, because I think you either know that or don't. It was just me explaining why I love this thing, why I thought it was a no-brainer purchase, and why I'm happy that Valve did a limited edition that wasn't like the Analog Pocket where you've got to show up right at the time it goes for sale or else it's going to sell out in seconds, right? Like that sucks. Scalpers suck. Valve kind of beat them at their own game by making it seem like this thing was going to be super limited, and it's actually not that limited. So yeah, that about covers it for my thoughts on the Steam Deck OLED. Let me know what you think of yours, or if you're not getting one, if you're sticking with the LCD, let me know down in the comments below, and remember to subscribe and set your notifications to all if you haven't already. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.